Welcome back to the OBM Show. So today's episode is extra special for me because I'm sitting down with a dear friend who has been in the online space for a long time, Emily Reagan. And also, this is the first interview where I'm interviewing someone from outside our community, outside our OBM community. Because you guys know, up until now, I've been doing a lot of day in the life interviews with our accredited OBM. But I thought, you know what? Emily runs a unicorn digital marketing assistant school and the digital marketers work group. She has an amazing podcast that I really recommend that we're going to talk more about today. And pulling back the curtain on what it actually looks like to scale as an entrepreneur. So when things start to get bigger, the team grows, and suddenly you realize you are spending way too much time living inside a sauna, just trying to keep everything together and everything moving. And I want to talk a little bit. I really want to pull back the curtain today on what it looks like in a scaling business that is gearing up to hire an OBM. And that's why I really wanted to get Emily on. So we are also getting super clear on something founders confuse all the time. That's the difference between marketing and operations, and why expecting one person to do both can create chaos, and how you know you are at the point where it's time to bring in somebody operationally, and all that good stuff. So let's get into it, Emily. Welcome to the show. Oh,
I'm so excited to be your first non-OBM guest.
yeah, on OBM. I mean, I know you're still from the virtual world, and and oftentimes, we marketing assistants and OBMs and marketing people, we all get sort of mixed up and put into the same bucket. So have I done a good job introducing you?
I am mainly in the marketing department, although sometimes my marketing assistants might help with like an inbox and, help do some marketing project management within their scope, but they are definitely not overseeing the business part of it. So, and it's really fun because my audience sometimes learns like, I actually love this, and then go off in your direction to become more of the online business manager. So it's like such a fun collaboration.
We were talking, and I think even in our last few conversations, something has become increasingly clear to me, and that is that you are scaling your business. Your business is growing, your school is growing, your students are growing, and launches are becoming a little bit, I mean, not to drop any F-bombs or anything like that, but a kind of a little bit of a shit show, which is very typical. So, I really like to kind of focus on what it looks like or how it feels when you're scaling to a point that is kind of over and beyond your team as it stands. And maybe you can give us a little bit of a glimpse of what things look like in your business.
Yeah, and I'll be super transparent because I'm all about that, but I do not have an OBM in my business. It's something I know I need. I'm right around the $300,000 revenue mark, so I know I'm like kind of straddling that part, and so I've been having to DIY it a lot. And I have a couple different contractors on my team. I have about 5 like specific roles, but I
Right.
am lacking that middle tier. I almost think about it like a champagne fountain where it like overflows and overflows. Like I am missing the middle tier. And so that's why this is going to be such a
Me to catch all the champagne at the bottom flowing into my bowl.
I'm good at marketing. So I end up running a lot of it, but a lot of it gets stuck in my
Right.
head too. So I do want to be open and honest about it.
Well, you were complaining about kind of the toll it takes.
Mhm.
And I think, in your defense, because you come from this marketing background, naturally you're on the launch strategy, on the marketing strategy, and then there's a very fine line between, being a strategist and being the implementer or managing the implementation team, or for a strategist to now be off managing the team, managing all of the bits and pieces of the launch funnel. Now, before we go on, what are those roles on your team? Like, what does your team look like right now? Like, what do some of them do?
Okay. I have a dedicated podcast and YouTube editor. So she's like very much in her lane, but I do have ongoing weekly who I her name is Emily. She's also a military spouse, but it's just so like repeat, like spit out the content, send it to her. And I have an email tech who does a lot of all the email automations. She does, the webinar sequences and nurture emails. She's very much in that lane. I do have a marketing assistant who augments my social media, can help do what I teach in the Unicorn Digital Marketing Assistant School, like some of the blogs, the SEO, the podcast support, and we augment social media together. And I have a community program manager. So I have a membership for marketers called the Digital Marketers Work Group. I have my school. So I have someone kind of running that, which
Mhm.
is some operations. It's
Right.
client fulfillment and scheduling and following up with events and filling up Kajabi. And I do have somebody in my inbox who helps with that. And she also, we don't have like a fancy title, but like the inbox to me is such like a top of funnel, situation. So somebody I trust there who can make sure things are going the right spot. But she helps more with the affiliate launches.
Yeah.
And I have just hired somebody new to separate, like, so I have two program managers, one for the school, one for the community because it was so big. So I have five part-time contractors, but you can see I'm missing the launch manager. I'm missing the OBM.
But
Anyone.
it's just like that. It's someone that's kind of straddling all the parts
Mhm,
and being able to create some operational intelligence to that and just,
mhm.
very sound. Because, obviously launch is a little bit more beyond operations, but it's still very systematic. All of
Yeah. And I think that's where I find myself most frustrated day to day in the business is I don't wanna have all of those decisions on me, especially when they are not they're not priority, you know?
because it takes your time away from the things that only you can do in your business. So I think when you're okay, where how do I show up in my business and what are the ways, obviously teaching and coaching and doing those things like that, that's you. And maybe you have a junior coach eventually, but for now, that is your main jam. And then you need to bring on somebody that can do that 80%. Like if we're thinking of the Pareto principle, you have like the 20% of the things that only you can do in your business. And then
Mhm.
I know me and you, Emily, we like to play in that 80% because it's procrastination nation.
Yeah. We're good at it.
We know how to do it and it's very cathartic to be like, I think it's a control and you are your own OBM. It can very quickly become overwhelming because you are at every team member's beck and call. You're doing meetings with all your team members. You are the one who is wielding all of the bigger picture of the launch planning and the date. And there's like nobody else in the
Yeah.
kitchen for you. And like you're baking like 800 cakes and like shit's on fire and stray.
If we were in a restaurant, I would be the general manager, the food expediter. I would be the fixing the POS system. Yeah, I'm the host, I'm the bartender. I feel like I'm doing a lot of that. And I have some food runners, but nobody to manage them. And I am not an operational person. I have all of my full-time jobs, which I was very lucky to get as a military spouse moving, but I was always a one-man band in charge of myself. So I also kind of lack the leadership and the delegation, right? So I'm learning that even though I also know better because of
Yeah.
the faith.
Yeah. Just because we know better doesn't mean that in practice it's easier. Like,
Yeah.
advanced entrepreneur, I would say, and running, very structured programs, like it's sort of natural to just kind
Mhm.
of keep everything going. And because we are heart of service people and we have been, providing services for years to clients, it's just a default. It's like default mode.
Yeah.
Default
Yeah.
do and manage all of these things. So what was your last launch like?
Well, I think we have to talk about like the online market right now is
Right.
changing with course launches. I did used to have six-figure launches, and the last 2 years I have not, but
Right.
that just puts extra pressure on me to do it leaner because I don't know what's coming. But it's hard because I know marketing and I know all the things we should be doing. And so it's more of a capacity problem. And then also making sure we're focusing on the right things. I told you I'm like not an operational person, and there's a problem if I'm in a sauna at midnight and I'm not fixing strategy or messaging, or I'm fixing handoff problems. I'm
Right.
making sure the baton is getting to the right person and things are getting done. And I find that so draining, even though I love the adrenaline of the launch. I love having a launch event and a webinar. It's just that I can't actually focus on the marketing when I'm running the launch meetings too. Like I show up like a bumbling idiot because my brain is so overtaxed with all these tabs. And I kind of kept telling myself, okay, well, next time I'll get a launch manager just to be honest. But then it got kind of scary with,
Yeah.
and so Yeah, so it's a capacity thing too, to be able to change how we launch and shift into different types of like evergreen launches or ongoing. I mean, I think you run like a monthly webinar and like shifting to that type of model, but like I still need the project management of all of that. It's just going to look different.
Yeah, I think that's so, so true. And it really is a capacity.
Mhm.
If your whole business runs on course sales and the course sale industry seems like it's changing, then do I hire that person? What does that look like? And but the truth is too, when it comes to hiring an OBM, one of the things that we look at and one of the things I train my OBMs to really get clear around is like, Emily, what are the things that only you can focus on in your business? What is the existing team structure? And, because it sounds to me that it's not probably not just launch, but maybe there are other aspects of things that you can bring an OBM on to do. And so that it doesn't feel like, oh, if the launch is going bad, then I need to like get rid of that launch person. It has
Yeah.
to be more kind of holistic and somebody
Yeah.
that can literally take the reins so that so when was the last time you took like a solid holiday?
Oh, girl, does getting sick after Christmas count?
Oh, holiday. Oh,
I'm pretty good. Maybe that's my problem, Sarah, like putting my head in the sand a little bit and avoiding things. But yeah, no, I mean, I get a week here or two, but it's never like the solid unplug. Like it's been a while. I think about hiring a launch manager, and that's not what I actually need. I know now a launch manager is kind of like they're executing one launch, one promotion. And I think the way things are changing, we're no longer putting all of our eggs in one launch basket. We need someone who can coordinate these contractors and these deadlines like on repeat. And so I see the role of an OBM getting stronger in 2026 because
yeah.
we're not doing these one-time launches.
Yeah. And it's like launch operations, it's
Mhm.
normal. So yes, we have in my business, we have like the once a month evergreen webinar that I run that changes a little bit. And then we have like the cohort, more evergreen quarterly. And we tweak things, right? You need somebody looking at those key performance indicators and making those decisions on your behalf so that you're not, feeling overwhelmed with that at the end of the day, for
Oh, I
sure.
think that's one thing I'm really dropping the ball on. But I'm heavy on also reporting and tracking our marketing work.
Yeah.
But I find myself as the CEO, I'm kind of good at putting my head in the sand, default primary custody of 4 children. So I'm like drowning a little bit. So I really need people to step up with their lane and not just report the numbers or go put them in a spreadsheet or collect a report, but actually look at them and spoon feed them to me, almost like those like level 10 meetings. Like I know I'm missing that kind of ownership.
Yeah, you need an OBM. So you guys are listening and you're like, oh my God, I feel like Emily. I get it. Like I'm a successful entrepreneur. I hold my own, I mean, we are all so different. We have different strengths and different weaknesses. But if you are listening right now and you're thinking, I need an OBM, head on over to obmschool.com/matchmaking and check out our directory for accredited OBMs. And also I personally match clients and OBM. And Emily, I'm happy to do that for you as well because we've got an incredible community. But alas, yes, I mean, it's really important to sort of recognize. I find that even in my own business and even after OBMing for a million years, like I can still very easily lie to myself and make myself like things look a very different way. When you're honest, like, how do I even think that that team member was, sort of taking that responsibility? Because I hear what you're saying around, you want people to not just stay in their lane, but like own their lane and own the reporting in their lane. But the truth is that when an OBM has that big picture vision and they know what the goals are and they know what their vision is, like your client care person doesn't necessarily know what Emily's grand vision and goals are. I mean,
Right.
but like it's not part of her job description to be like, oh, I'm very clear on what's happening. I can make decisions on behalf of the business, or if I see this really shady KPI come in, I'm going to sort of be able to approach Emily and be like, hey, red flag, this isn't working. Or, hey, red flag, I noticed that this KPI was really low. So I went ahead and I audited the funnel and I got
Oh my
it
God, I love it.
for broken, right? And you're
Oh,
like,
I love that.
saved me an entire day of having to pull my own hair out, try to now, so I mean, it is the wonderful thing about any team member, but I think in OBM especially, is it really is an investment in your own sanity and your ability to sort of stay in the Emily lane, which is where you can really double down and, sell more people into your membership or, really make an impact on more marketing assistants and all that good stuff.
Yeah, because I need to focus on sales in 2026. I had a lower income, lower revenue last year, and I know, like, all right, now I need to double down on this, and I really have to make some trade offs and handoffs. And one of the hiring mistakes I made because I'm not an operational person, I'm actually more hands off.
Background, yeah,
Yeah,
or yeah,
yeah, but I made a hiring mistake because I'm almost too hands off sometimes. And I'm like, oh, I expect you to be self managed, be self
yeah,
directed. I tell you, like, this is my goal. I want this done. And then I kind of step away. And I feel like if I have to come in to remind you of deadlines and check on stuff, I'm getting depleted. And I'm already doing that with my teenagers all the time. Like, I don't want to manage you. And so I made a hiring mistake thinking somebody was going to kind of step into that role. And I admit, I'm like, I don't want to be in the nitty gritty details of how you got it done, but I felt like I'm explaining the outcomes. Like, I feel like I'm coming in as a good client. And
right.
then that backfired with a hire last year. And it took me a couple months to make the moves. I was going through a divorce. So there's like personal stuff going on, and I delayed it. And when I finally got in there and looked at it, like under the hood, it was bad. She wasn't meeting the deadlines. When I did fire her, she threw it all back on me. And it was just like an ugly situation. And so what I learned from that is probably maybe, like, overseeing the project plan or, like, asking her to submit it. Like, I probably should have done that instead of trusting, but I also if I was not blown away with her in the first 30 days, I shoulda let her go right away, 'cause that's when you see the most excellent work and people on it. But, like, I find myself being, like, nice because I know it takes time. I've
Oh,
done the client work, and I was almost too nice. I was also very distracted, and I'm embarrassed to say that, but, like, I did learn some good lessons.
that's business, right?
Yep.
Everything solutions to problems. But
Yeah.
thing that I do, and one thing that OBMs do when they hire is we always do a test project. Now, obviously, I know that it's really hard sometimes to see, you
Yeah.
know, if people are strategic
Yeah.
or will go above and beyond, something so I mean, again, even a test project can't necessarily help guys.
They say they can do it, but if you don't see it, and I'm like, "Wait, there's a problem. If I'm more operational minded than this person, like, there's a problem, and I should expect someone to really come in there." Another part that I kind of struggle with, I think there's, like, really good VOC here in this podcast for all the OBMs listening when they're like, "What are the pain points my person is, experiencing?" It's like, yeah, the launch, being stuck in ClickUp and Asana, but I think we really struggle, and I do, with like the baton passing,
Mm,
right? And who does what next. And it's not just during a launch. Like even this week, I got an email from my teammate. She's like, all right, so and so completed the training. And I'm like, yeah, but what comes next? Like who's overseeing
yeah,
having that like system mindedness and being able to pass it to the next person, like that's the part that's missing, that's so
yeah.
critical, and creating all these like leaky buckets, and we're losing money when that happens, and it affects your bottom line, it affects your customer retention, it affects your reputation.
Do you ever do team KPIs?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Tough. It's sometimes
yeah,
hard, like, what exactly is your
yeah,
KPI? But when it comes to things like, let's say, the follow-up
yeah,
of someone completing the program, and then I guess they move into the ongoing membership,
yeah,
whatever that
yeah,
dial is, right? Like, that's where the maybe what frames the KPI. So if 20 people are completing the program, you expect that, like, 19 out of the 20 move on to the next phase. So if they're not moving on, then there's something wrong with that team member because she's ushering everybody into the next iteration.
and
And
instead of going, Emily here, and then I'm
yeah,
like, no, it needs to go to
well,
this person, it needs
maybe
to
in her mind, she's like, yeah, I haven't finished. I'm gonna tell Emily. So she, like, is happy. And you're like, "Okay, I'm happy. Like, expecting you to be really on top of the delivery and the client experience so that we can ensure that we have a high, just retention of our students."
Well,
So
that would be a good communication tactic is like, don't just like bog down your, okay, Sarah, I've worked in so many businesses, a lot of hot mess clients. No one's super organized. I used to get mad at my clients for slowing my work down. And now that I am the client, I
yeah,
see it. Like I have so much going on and I probably do too much visibility, but I'm not over here like scrolling TikTok and like, oh, I kind of feel bad for some of the thoughts I had about my clients. I'm like, they are busy. So
yeah,
how can you be clear, concise, and show off that you got them covered? And
yeah.
so that email, instead of like, hey, Sarah completed, the self study, like, go ahead and like slip in what you're doing next and like, wow, my socks and remind me that you got it instead of leaving me with a question mark because I'm wondering. And I mean, we do have a system. It's not that we don't have a system. It's just now I'm questioning, is it kicking off, you
Where
know?
is the system clear of
Yeah.
my expectations are? And
Mhm.
that's the wonderful thing about having an OBM because they are your mouthpiece standards. They know the vision, they know the goals and the big picture. So if that team member is like, okay, this person's finished, they're like, okay, goal KPI, did you usher them into the next step? Did X, Y, and Z happen? Like one less thing for you to worry about because
Yeah.
they're overseeing, bits and pieces of the business.
We need OBMs in our life to like take that noise and strip it down and just take care of us.
Yeah. It's hard to find, your clients are not pits putzing in free Facebook groups. They're frustrated because they can't stay on the ball as much as they were when things were smaller, when things were less intense. And then there's also this, the growing pains, right? Like
Mhm.
you have all of these, one team member, two team members, five team members. Like it's also five weekly meetings or monthly meetings. It's also five people to wish happy birthday to and Merry Christmas and like to take care of. Like it's a lot of the team management also becomes very taxing as well on top of the expectations on their performance.
Yeah. Even when I had an agency, that was the part I know my weakness.
Yeah.
I would much rather get in and do the work, do the brain work, be innovative, be the visionary, the creative. And so it's always been for me the people management. And I've known that.
Right.
That's why I closed my agency. I was like, I didn't enjoy all the people management of it. But I just want anyone listening to realize like if you have that strength, like you are needed.
Yeah.
And I think people like me, we're not out there telling you our hot mess express over here. We're not like telling you that. We're in funny spots where we're in that growth stage of business. Profit margins are lower, but we're never going to get out of it until we
And
get someone who can increase our capacity and help us go out and make more money. So it's a hard spot,
so
I think.
I always remind my students that your clients have to know their best use of energy. So if you are giving them back 5 or 10 hours in their week because they're not having to do team meetings, they're not having to manage the launch, what are they doing with that newfound freedom? Or are they focused on writing the book, getting on more podcasts, attending conferences, the things that only they can do in their business? So I think an important thing for anybody considering hiring an OBM has to know their 20%. They have to know what falls into their realm of getting shit done that only they can do in their business and how to amplify that as well. Because when you have a clear vision for that, to me, would feel less scary to bring an OBM on the team because you're very clear in your value and where you need to be.
Yeah, and bring that conversation into your discovery call and get that business owner to admit what the value of getting their time back would be and what they
Oh,
can do with that. And I mean, that's how you sell your service. Not as many people, some people just aren't ready for it, but like get that client to name it.
we've got tons of podcast episodes
Yeah.
on a client that but they need to be making money. They need to know their value and know where their best use of energy is in their business. And also like because the OBM is unique in everybody's business. Like,
Yeah.
but what are all the other things that you don't want to be doing and being very clear and maybe auditing your time and keeping kind of a document going of like, what am I spending all of my time on? Like launching that can be best utilized in other ways, like, doing other things and not even necessarily just working. So
Yeah.
you have kids, you have your kids. I mean, I know we talked about this on your podcast, but like the kids take up so much of our time carpooling. And I say carpooling, it's chauffeuring at
Oh
this.
my God. My son slept in this morning and I'm like, I had that hour carved out to edit this lesson because my audio messed up yesterday. And so I just lose time with children.
Yeah. It's like, where does it go? So I mean, but also understanding that that's also as entrepreneurs and as business owners, that's such a big part of what we are dealing
Yeah. And I think going into 2026, it's so critical that you said something that really like popped out was the time to write a book.
with.
You
Right.
know, what is that dream aspirational, that revenue stream that that client cannot pursue because they are stuck in the weeds? And I think it's so critical in 2026. People double down on the marketing that's working. And it's like, just to tie it back, what we said at the beginning, it's a capacity thing. And we can't do that if we don't have somebody managing the project and the ongoing launches. And I know it's like so much more than that, but we need OBMs in our life more than ever in 2026.
Yeah, I will agree with that, and I think that that's been the case ever since COVID, with the
Yeah.
social changing and shit moving online and things just kind of blowing up in that way, and now this kind of continuation and more entrepreneurs coming into the space and all that good stuff, and it's been really, it's so great that you're like, pulling back the curtain and really exposing to the community what it looks like. Because I'm like, I am the first to be like, your clients are not hanging around. They are overwhelmed. They are busy. They're not going to just find them hanging out on the street. You got to either join a high level mastermind or go to some conferences. Go where your people are going to look for information to help them get back more of their time.
Yeah, and I think knowing someone like you or me where we're natural super connectors and we're already doing that, like having a couple of those people in your life, they will also be able to help you connect with clients.
So if people do want to learn, because I'm sure that we've got people listening here and maybe they are thinking I am more kind of marketing minded, have
Mhm.
and more about your world, Emily.
Yeah. Well, you and I talked a lot about that weird crossover between marketing and operations because there is a gray area where we overlap.
I love operations, but my heart, I will always love marketing, and
Yeah.
I both marketers at heart.
I feel like I want to like learn more about operations just so I can be a better leader.
For each other all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a top ranked podcast, The Marketing Freelancer, and that's the episode we talked about marketing and operations.
That in the show notes is
That's the best place to get into my world, start learning about the marketing services. I'm playing over on Instagram the most. You can find me at Emily Reagan PR. And then if you are an OPM and you're like, we need more implementers, we need a marketing sidekick, I have the community of marketing assistants and
Chris, are you
specialists.
listening? Are you hearing that, OBMs? If your clients need marketing assistance, Emily has the people.
Yeah, you go
Woo.
to hireaunicorn.com and you can submit your job for free and we'll share it on our job board. And I hope it looks new and beautiful. And I don't even know what it's going to look like at this point. But again, maybe a situation, it would be fun to have a project manager on this rebrand because I'm already thinking, oh, there's a few emails I need to follow up with the brand designer and the copywriter. And
What? An OBM?
an OBM could be doing this and helping me take on this big Q1, Q2 project.
Wonderful. Emily, thank you. I love this conversation. And I know so many of you listening are going to feel seen, especially if you are in that phase where your business is growing, but behind the scenes, it's starting to creak under the weight of it. If you want to connect with Emily, we're going to leave all of her stuff below in the show notes, in the description. And if today's episode had you thinking, okay, I'm at that bursting point, I need real operational leadership in my business, head on over to obmschool.com/matchmaking to learn more about how we match clients with their ideal accredited OBM. If you love this episode, share it with a founder friend who is doing too much and make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss what's coming next. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.